Masibayo, welcome sa Candaba now, balitaan ng inyong lingkod, Dr. Amuraw, at maghahatid sa inyo ng mga napapanahon at mainit na balita. Subaybayan po natin ang ating pong kapuplamang ika-17 Pangulo ng Bansang Pilipinas. Pagkatapos ng kanyang proklamasyon, ano na ang susunod? Ating pong panoorin ang bidyong ito.
Official na talaga eh. But we have not, hindi naman namin na mula nung May 9, May 10, nandito na kami. We were already trying to put together the government, the next administration. So, pero siyempre, very significant yung kahapon. At kahit pa paano, it's slowly sinking in na eto na talaga yun. But anyway, it also became productive because nakausap ko na yung mga legislators natin at sinasabi ko na sa kanila, ito yung mga dapat natin gawin, ito yung mga hihimiin ko sa inyo. I think I'm hoping there will be a honeymoon period na maging maliwanag at maging maganda at maayos ang relationship, cooperation between the legislature, the executive, and of course the judiciary. So that's what we spoke about at length. After naiwan pa ako dun ng mga 3 oras kasi nag-uusap na kami tungkol diyan. So it's all very well commemorated, and of course it's always very exciting to actually hear the proclamation of the Senate President and the Speaker for both myself and for our incoming Vice President, Sara Duterte. But we immediately went to work because there's a great deal to be done. So, yeah, nasa pawang kaagad yung whatever, if you want to call it celebration, commemoration, napunta ka agad sa trabaho. But that's natural because talagang in our view, ang daming gagawin. So we have to get it done. I really want to hit the ground running on the beginning of the term. I also would like to have a very clear understanding between all of the cabinet secretaries, all the legislature. Very clear understanding of what we're going to be trying to do, the timetable that we're giving ourselves to do it in, the deadlines that we have to put, so that we don't waste any time. So yes, it was very exciting. It really brought home the fact that we won this election and I will be president. But immediately it comes out very soon. He doesn't get to work.
Ano naman kaya ang kanyang mga priorities bilang ika-17 presidente ng Bansang Pilipinas?
The first priority is always going to be the economy. And that's why we have been very, very careful in choosing the economic theme. It's still down to jobs, to the increasing prices of commodities, some relief for the business community. We have to streamline the operations of government, which immediately brings us to digital and IT and digital communication para maging mas maganda ang patakbo. And also it will be better for the Philippines for the simple reason that the rest, when we deal with other countries, everybody else is digitized. Tayo lang ang medyo naiwanan. So it will make quicker. Ganun na ang negosyo ngayon. Ganun na ang investment ngayon. Kailangan talaga digitize. So those are the immediate things because those are the things that I think we can immediately enforce. But, you know, the things we spoke about during the campaign, hindi pang kampanya lang yan. We really need to do something about, we need to find help for our MSMEs. We really have to create once again the value chain for agriculture. Education needs a lot of, I'm so happy that Vice President Sara has decided to take on that job. It's not a small job. Sa education to increase, and of course the infrastructure development continues. So these are the things that we can immediately go on. That's why I'm using the time between now and the 1st of July to plan, to talk to everybody and say maging maliwanag ang plano para nakakaintindihan tayong lahat. Ito yung dapat natin gagawin. So I guess on the 1st of July we will have a cabinet meeting immediately, just to everybody knows naman yung mga kinukuha naman namin, kilala na magkakilala na yan. They worked together before in their different area. So but the important thing is to be very clear amongst ourselves, the cabinet, and with the public as well, that this is what the directions that we are taking. This is how we plan to do it. This is we will engage with certain agencies, with the private sector, with citizens, NGOs even, to move the thing forward. So I think we've made a good start in the last since May na, last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I think we've made a good start. There's still a long way to go, but I think we've made a good start already. The most important thing for me is to get the right people in the right place. Okay, let's do ourselves first. Sa aking pananaw, let's have another look at it, because the RCEP is a very fine thing. Ako talagang a great proponent, believer in trade. Hindi talaga tayo, walang yumaman na bansa na hindi maganda ang kanilang trade. Meron silang manufacturing, marami silang ine-export. They are very involved in trade. All the great economies in the past 200, 300 years, it really came down to trade. So that's something that we want to encourage, and what RCEP seeks to do. Now, the only stumbling block, the only possible stumbling block there is that it's all very well to trade if you are in a competitive position. And I do not know that our agricultural sector is sufficiently robust to take on the competition that the opening of the markets will cause ourselves. So let's have a look at it again and make sure na hindi naman malulugi ang ating agri-sector. Pagka renotify na natin yan, dapat handa na yung sistema natin na makipag-compete. Dahil kung hindi talaga makipag-compete, masasapawan sila. Mawawala yung ating mga local, and panay na lang ang import natin. And we don't want that. If we want to beef up the agricultural sector, we want to have sufficient food supply for the Philippines in case of any crisis. We should really learn our lessons from the pandemic, that huwag natin pababayaan yan. Dahil pag may dumating na crisis na ganyan, ramdam na ramdam ng tao, kulang ang pagkain for various reasons. So anyway, sa RCEP, tignan natin ulit exactly what will be the effect, pag-aralan natin na mabuti, that if we ratify it now, what will be the effect on our farming community, our farmers especially. They need protection. Hirap na hirap ang mga magsasaka. And how will it impact what our plans are to, as I mentioned earlier, create the value chain for agriculture once again. So that is my view on RCEP. Pag-aralan natin ng mabuti. Pagkaya ng ating magsasaka o suportahan natin ng gobyerno at kaya na silang mag-compete, di i-ratify na natin yan. But let's protect our power. I think there are other ways to handle the increase and the disturbances that we are having in terms of the petroleum products that we are importing. We can support those areas na tinamaan kaagad ng pagtaas ng presyo ng langis. Number one there was transport. And this is important because transport is going to be critical in the resurgence of the economy. And the reason I say that is because nakikita na natin, there are this, well, we keep talking about supply chain problems that have arisen post-pandemic sa ibang lugar. I don't consider us post-pandemic yet. I think we're still hopefully at the tail end. But nonetheless, nakikita na natin in other countries na yun ang ginagawa na nagkakaproblema doon sa transport situation. Because COVID changed everything, we tried to go back nung bumubukas ang mga ekonomiya. Sinubukan nating bumalik doon sa dating gawin. Hindi na maaari yun. We have to do it in a different way. And we have to be more creative and more aware of what the future global economy is going to look like. So in terms of oil excise tax, I think we still have to look at that very well. If there is a commensurate return to somehow deferring the collection of the excise tax, what will be the merit? Siyempre, the government needs the money. Mahirap ang gobyerno sa pondo ngayon. The government needs the money. Pero kung talagang makikita naman, may ano naman yan eh. Pag sinabi mo, tanggalin natin yung excise tax, o bawasan natin yung excise tax, ano yung magiging effect doon? Talaga bang worth it ba na mawala yung pondo o yung income ng gobyerno? Kasi mas magiging maganda naman ang effect sa ekonomiya and makabawi tayo. So we have to study that. It's still a cost-benefit analysis. It's not simple, but that's what we will have to do. But of course, that will be one of the areas that will be under intense study in the first few weeks, because we really have to see our fiscal policy, how we handle it, and we have to be more analytical in the way that we impose new taxes or withdraw old taxes or amend the tax structure to see that there will be as I said, a commensurate advantage perhaps in another part of the economy. But kailangan meron naman talagang may balance naman. So, kasi pag nawala ka agad dyan, wala naman tayong pangbigay ng tupad, wala na tayong pangbigay ng ayuda, kailangan pa rin ng tao yan. But, if the economy is ready, kahit kunin mo yan, may trabaho na, then, perhaps, we can think about it. I would like to apply is that there will be hindi lang yung kuha tayo dito sa syntax, kuha tayo dito sa oil, kuha tayo dito sa housing, kuha tayo dito sa cooperative. Hindi, kailangan talaga may plano tayo. So gagawin natin yung plano natin, and the fiscal policy is going to follow that. Now in my discussions with our legislators yesterday, we are trying to create some fiscal space so that to reduce the load on ordinary citizens, and maybe move the load up, the tax load up, and there are also distribution of wealth implications to that, which are very, very important. It's one of the areas that I think we have to work on very, very hard. The distribution of wealth dito sa Pilipinas has not been very equitable. And so that's something that that the fiscal policy will hope to balance, achieve a better balance. So we must approach all of these things. The economy is a living thing, and you cannot just look at one area without trying to anticipate what the real effect will be for the entire economy and for. So we have to, the point I'm making is that we have to have an economic recovery plan, and the fiscal policy will follow that. What areas will we encourage? What comes out off the top of my mind is MSMEs kagad. Bawasan na natin, or we give them a holiday, tax amnesty, tax holiday. We're studying that now, because that's the only way that I can see. We do microfinancing even in the private sector. We want them to come back because the 62% of our employees are in MSMEs. The agriculture also, yung ating ayuda, the fertilizer that we buy, urea, is petroleum-based in terms of pricing, and it's imported. And it has gotten to such a severe situation that there are farmers now who just don't plant. Kasi if urea is at what? 2,000 pesos. Sabi hindi na makakita eh. So, huwag na lang. Di ba? We'll do something else. Mangingisda lang kami, or we'll do something else. And that doesn't bode well for our plans for developing agriculture. So whatever fiscal policy is going to be, whatever changes in fiscal policy that we are going to undertake, it will have to come, we have to examine it we have to think it through properly. So yung mga pabigla-bigla na tinataas, binababa, hindi natin magagawa yun, dahil kung gawin natin yan, it will, if there are too many moving parts, you cannot anticipate what will happen. So we have to be careful, and there are many variables. Move the variables one by one. Huwag mong sasabay-sabay, kasi then you don't know what's happening. We just followed, I guess, the scientific method. So my approach to the fiscal policy, first is to codify it, to make it simpler, to make it more understandable, number one. Secondly is to reduce as much of the tax collections from those who are suffering from the pandemic, the effects of the pandemic. That means MSMEs, agricultural sector, transport, yung mga ganun. So, babawasan natin. Let's hope we can raise funds in another area and use it there. Then again, very important to me is the distribution of wealth issue. So that will also be part of the thinking that will obtain when we talk about fiscal policy. So it's difficult for me at this point. I'm trying to answer your question, but it's difficult for me to answer your question because I cannot talk about specifics, because they will all be part of a larger economic plan. Of course, but the general principle that we will apply is to give opportunities to those that have suffered, maybe by lightening the tax liabilities that they are required to pay. But again, we have to see what the effect will be for the rest of the economy, for other sectors of the economy. So, yes, the fiscal policy is going to, monetary policy is also, now that you mentioned monetary policy is also, I was just watching the news before I came here, marami na talaga ng tataas ng interest rate around the country. So, this is what we were talking with the BSP President Ben Jokno, if we're going to raise interest rates, if our investment rating will change, kung bababa ba yan, or can we do something to keep it? But he seems optimistic, and To an extent, I share his optimism, and I think we can do it. But we have to be very, very, how do you say? We have to be very circumspect about making sudden changes, because as we've seen, all of these sudden changes have had some unintended consequences in other parts of the Hindi mo na maakalain. May pumutok doon kasi dito may ginawa ka rito. Like I said, the economy is a living thing, and it's always a work in progress.